Hello again. One of my viewers commented on what he believes is the condition of the Secretary of State, John Kerry. And I posted a video last week and I talked about what I had heard as well and what was being reported by Assassinate. I want to take the time to relay the comments that this viewer made. It's rather lengthy, so bear with me. I think you'll find it to be, if nothing else, most interesting. It starts off, Obama made a secret Boston visit, as Kerry reported at quote-unquote death's door by Sourcia Fall, and as reported to the Western subscribers. The Foreign Intelligence Service, SVR, is reporting today that President Barack Obama made a highly secret nighttime visit to Boston on Tuesday, June the 2nd, where he met with U.S. Air Force surgeons and medical personnel fighting to save the life of U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, who was gravely wounded this past Sunday, the 31st of May, during a gun battle with what has been described as Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant ISIL assassins. The SVR had previously reported on June the 1st that Secretary Kerry suffered one or more gunshot wounds during a gun battle at a French military base in Moselle Department, France, where he was meeting with the U.S. State Department top ISIS commander, Colonel Gumard Galmiov, in a strategy session ahead of the June 2nd Paris summit intended to develop a plan in dealing with the terrorist organization. In this new report, the SVR states that immediately after Secretary Kerry was violently wounded in this gun battle, he was transported by a French military medical helicopter to Hôpital Université de Genève, HUG, where he was stabilized. Due to his age, 71, and the extreme blood loss he suffered as a result of his wounds, this report continues. U.S. military medical authorities authorized Secretary Kerry's immediate evacuation to America and dispatched a massive Boeing C-17 Globemaster belonging to the U.S. Air Force's 86th Airspace Medical Squadron located at Ramstein Air Base in Germany to fly to Geneva. Upon landing, the C-17 medical flight landing in Geneva, this report says Secretary Kerry was then flown by a Swiss medical helicopter from HUG and was immediately put into the care of U.S. Air Force surgeons and medical personnel attempting to keep him alive. The reasons behind Secretary Kerry needing such a massive U.S. military medical response and evacuation, this report explains, is due to the 86th Aerospace Medical Squadron being, quote, the best in the world, end of quote, when it comes to treating traumatic battle-related injuries, and with this massive C-17 airborne hospital being fully equipped with both medical personnel and equipment, he could not have been in better hands. To how grave Secretary Kerry's condition was, the report notes, was confirmed by subsequent SVR interviews with Swiss medical authorities who first treated him, confirming that he was at death's door upon his first arrival at HUG. Secretary of Kerry's grave condition was further evidenced, this report continues, by President Obama's secret flight to Boston from Washington, D.C. to meet with the medical personnel aboard the C-17 when it landed. Confirmation of President Obama's secret flight to Boston to meet Secretary Kerry's C-17 medical flight, this report states, was verified by SVR signals intelligence sources that showed a Boeing C-40 Clipper aircraft belonging to the 89th Air Wing Lift 89AW of the U.S. Air Force Base at Joint Base Andrews outside of Washington, D.C. left with the American leader on board and landed in Boston just minutes ahead of Kerry's flights. As to Secretary Kerry's current medical condition, this report doesn't say, but SVR health experts contributing to it do note that the U.S. State Department press release that says, quote, this morning Secretary Kerry underwent a surgical procedure to repair his broken femur. The procedure was performed under a regional anesthetic, and the Secretary was conscious throughout the 4-hour operation, is an obvious falsehood. To the American propaganda media, continuing the cover story, the Secretary Kerry broke his leg while falling off a stationary bicycle in France when he is supposed to be in Switzerland, needed an immediate evacuation back to the U.S. aboard the American military's largest and most advanced airborne medical hospital, and then stayed awake for 4 hours of grueling surgery. This report concludes is a falsehood so blatant that only the most unsophisticated of persons could ever find it plausible. Remember, though, when it comes to the American people believing everything the propaganda media and old rich elite masters tell them is true, there is more evidence that any libraries of books could have showing this is true. After all, these are the same people who still believe a plane hit the Pentagon 14 years ago on 11 September 2001 that left no debris behind and made a perfectly round hole in the side of this building the size of a cruise missile. If, of course, they believe all these lies being told about Kerry. Isn't that what children are supposed to do? Other reports in this series, U.S. Secretary of State reported gravely wounded after French gun battle, June the 4th, 2015. EU and U.S. are rights reserved. Permission to use this report in its entirety is granted under the condition that it is linked back to its original source at whatdoesitmean.com, freebase content license under CCB and GFDL. Western governments and our intelligence services actively campaign against information found in these reports so as not to alarm their citizens about the many catastrophic earth changes and events to come, a stance that the Sisters of Sorcha Fatale strongly disagree with, believing that is every human being's right to know the truth. Due to our mission conflicts with that of those governments, the response of their agents against us being long-lasting misinformation, misdirection campaign designed to discredit, and which is addressed in this report. Who is so Shafar? Well, I don't know, folks. What I do know is that we're constantly lied to by this administration, and we haven't heard much about the Secretary of State, John Kerry. Is this true? I don't know. What I do know is that I'm going to post this on my site. I'm going to send a copy back to whatdoesitmean.com as instructed to do under their licensing agreement to authorize anyone that repeats this. I don't know, folks, but I guess we'll find out soon enough if John Kerry doesn't survive. We know it won't be because of a broken femur. Then again, he is 71 years old, but then so am I. Let me know what you think about this article. I told you what my viewer thinks. You sure as heck know what I think, don't you?